Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to episode 31 of the Yellow Card Podcast. Your host, Diego the DJ Galvis, Chris Jones, Andrew Fasciano. Fellas, how we doing this weekend?
I'm just happy that the record button's working this week.
I'm, I'm glad that I found this hat because if you guys saw my hair, I look like a dirty ass Q-tip. Like it's disgusting how I look. Andrew's hair flow is just phenomenal. It's so intact that I just want to go over there and laugh on it. I just want to be like, ooh.
It's too long. It's too long. I need the spring haircut.
You say you want to floof his hair, dude? What are we talking about here?
You can tell it's got that phenomenal bounce to it. And I'm just like, holy shit.
Not for nothing. I don't think we've seen short hair Andrew since like episode 13.
That could be true.
It's been a while. Yeah.
That could be true. But anyways, fellas, we got action going on this week. We got soccer's back, baby. Soccer's back. I mean, we had a good international break. A few things that kind of matter, kind of don't matter much. Team USA wrecked Jamaica and whoever else they were playing. They almost lost to Northern Ireland. But at the end of things, soccer's back. We got Champions League back. We got Europa League back. We got the English Premier League back. I mean, basically, Europe is just having their festivities immediately. If you are listening to this as well, and any of you Catholics out there celebrating Easter, happy Easter from the Yellow Card Podcast. If you're not, well, happy weekend. Happy weekend to you all. But let's get started. So, Champions League is back. And if you've been following the Yellow Card Podcast, you know that our man, Chris Jones, has been keeping tabs on things. He's also a big sports bettor. So if you've been following the Chasers Podcast, which shout out to that podcast in the network, we're all family here. He knows what to do exactly. So, Chris, catch us up to where the record is right now. What do we got in store? And let's get to predictions, fellas. Let's get this thing rolling.
First of all, thanks for the compliment. I'd like to think I know what I'm talking about, but there's times where you're completely wrong.
Well, listen. I gotta give it to you. Month of March, you guys went red hot. I saw the record and I was like, this
Just
is
baby.
That was probably like the best month you guys have had because you guys had a good December, but March was like, whoa, like March Madness is real. The feeling is real.
If you remember the first month, September was probably the best month I think I've ever had. Was the month of September. Yeah. Because I was on fire in college football. But But anyways,
let's get back. Let's get back to Champions League.
Yeah. Let's not get off topic here. So the records we've keeping since the start. I'm 68-46. Diego's 60-54. Andrew's 37-27.
Wow.
So
I need to get back in things.
Yeah, Diego's had a bit of a rough stretch here, and Andrew since coming on has been very. It's either he has a very good week or it's all right. He never has a bad week. Predictions.
I'll take that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. So let's start off with the first games that are playing on Tuesday, April 6th. Let's start with Man City and Dortmund.
We got two games, right?
Yeah, two games. Right. Man City and Dortmund's the first one we're going to talk about.
All right, let's do it.
I'll start us off here. This game I'm excited for this game because the matchup of Erling Haaland against Man City's defense, I think, is going to be one of the most underappreciated conversations that we should be having right now. Haaland is just a goal machine in the Champions League. He has like 20 goals, I think, in his career already, which is outlandish, especially because this is his second Champions League run that he's had. Mm-hmm. But City's too tough. They're probably, if not the best team in the world right now. I think City wins this game, but I think it's a lot closer. I think City wins 2-1. Go right across the board. Go, Diego.
All right. Well, thank you. So, Manchester City versus Dortmund. I mean, we've heard the rumor anyways going around. As of this week, actually, Fabrizio Romano was communicating on Twitter that Mino Raiola, that weasel, he's been, trending around Manchester and has been pitching Erling Haaland to Manchester City and Manchester United, so on and so forth. It's all just money related at this point, which I absolutely hate, because if you got the talent, like, just get the talent. Yes, Chris.
There was also another interview with someone within the Man City that says we're not spending money on a striker this summer. So just something to keep in mind.
I believe Pep Guardiola himself said that they couldn't afford spending big money on a striker.
I couldn't remember if it was Pep or not, but he said that we're not, knowing the prices that these strikers are going to want, we're not paying for one.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if I believe him, but he said it. We'll see.
Exactly. I mean, Pep tends to be one of those guys to keep things under just a very small radar until all of a sudden they blow up. So he could just be playing that card again. But again, it's a report. Nothing's set in stone. But for Dortmund, this is tough because they're coming into Etihad Stadium, where Manchester City has been just unreal. I don't think they haven't lost a game at home this whole entire season in the Champions League, if I'm not mistaken. And
fact check, but go ahead.
And quite frankly, they've gone 5-2, I think, in the last 7 matches that they've met. So I'm actually gonna go here and say this match will be the rhythm setter for Manchester City here, and it's gonna be a 3-1 match where we could see Kevin De Bruyne just unleashing his talents out here against Dortmund, who will struggle with somebody like him and Ilkay Gundogan too. So
yeah, I was also thinking 3-1 to Man City for this one. I know we'll get into it a little later, that Bayern PSG matchup is huge headliner marquee matchup, but I think I'm actually most excited for Man City Dortmund, at least this week, just to see that Haaland versus the Man City defense matchup that you guys were talking about. So I think, like you said, Diego, all the weapons that Man City have, De Bruyne, Gundogan, etc., Sterling, take your pick. I think there'll be too much for the Dortmund defense, but I do think we'll see Haaland get on the board and show that he can do it against the very best. So 3-1 City.
I think the only thing that makes me nervous is that City's lost 4 out of their last 5 in the quarterfinal stage of the UEFA Champions League under Pep. So that's a big scared factor for me. Other than that, I do think City's going to dominate this game.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only thing that you can add on to Manchester City too is that the past 4 years, they haven't been as scary as they've been this year. And that's a big testament.
You could have made an argument a couple years ago, but when they lost in the quarterfinals, but I mean,
defensively,
I'll give you that. Offensively, we can make an argument for that. Let's move on to the other one on Tuesday. Real Madrid and Liverpool. I'll let Fasciano start here.
I'm kind of feeling a draw in this one for whatever reason. I'm not super convinced by Real Madrid right now, and I believe when we sort of talked about the initial reactions 2 weeks ago, I was kind of thinking that Liverpool will win this tie. I still think that, to be honest, but I think they won't do so in hugely dominant fashion, I would expect. Neither team right now, I think, is on tip-top form. I'm going to go a 1-1 draw, and then Liverpool will go home for the second leg with that away goal in their back pocket.
Diego?
That's interesting that Andrew said that. And it's got me thinking too.
I was about to say, is he reading your notes?
So this is what I'll say. The last time that these two guys met was 2018, and we all know how disgustingly dirty Sergio Ramos was with Mo Salah. So I think Mo Salah is gonna come in here with some vengeance. He's gonna want to pay his dues. The good thing is that I believe this game is gonna be played at a stadium that has nothing to do with either team. I think it's playing at Di Stefano Stadium or something like that. So what I will say is I actually see a Liverpool win here. I see a 1-0 win here for Liverpool. I do think Real Madrid is going to try and keep it close. But unfortunately, I think the offensive game and scheme of things that Jurgen Klopp has worked for Liverpool is too much to handle right now for basically just Rafael Varane himself, because the rest have just not been themselves at all. And Courtois is not the same goalie he was 5 years ago.
It's actually funny that you guys are talking about Liverpool playing well in this matchup, because there's one key piece that you guys have already forgotten. And it's the fact that Sergio Ramos will miss both Liverpool ties and El Clasico with a calf injury. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So he's out with a calf injury.
So I did mention it would be Rafael Varane himself. So
yep,
a little credit there. A little credit.
I'll give you the credit there. But nobody brought up the fact that Ramos was not playing in the Champions League, which is a very good sign for Liverpool personally, because we know how good that Real Madrid is with Ramos on the pitch. Without Ramos, they're a little bit worse. So just having to be up to Rafael Varane, it's going to be a little bit stressful for him. Personally,
where's the game being played, by the way? Because I don't
It's
see
you're right that it's not the Bernabeu, but that stadium belongs to Real Madrid. They've been playing a bunch of the empty stadium games there. I think it's like their training stadium, basically.
Estadio Alfredo Di
Stefano, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think they play there so they don't have to open the Bernabeu with no one coming in. Like it's cheaper operating costs, is my understanding.
That'll make sense. Okay. Carry on. Sorry about that.
No worries. So, personally, I think the big thing is, especially as a Liverpool fan, you have to get revenge. But at the same time, you're getting revenge by beating them. You're not getting revenge from Mo Salah. You know how you get revenge by Mo Salah? You want to keep Mo Salah, you beat Real Madrid in the quarterfinal here.
Oh, absolutely.
I think they win 2-0. I think Liverpool's going to come out. I think Salah's going to get the first one because it's just a trend that we see. And then I think Diego Jota is going to get the second one. And Liverpool's going to ride into the second leg up 2-0 with 2 away goals. And they're going to be put in a very good spot. So I'm taking Liverpool 2-0 here.
You should be shocked, if anything, that the Manchester United fans said Liverpool could win this one 1-0.
Well, I just at the same time, I'm just shocked. I'm not shocked because of the fact of how much you hate Zinedine Zidane and company.
Fair.
So let's move on to the other two. We'll start with the not the easier one of the two, but the lighter end of the two, Porto and Chelsea. It's definitely not easy because we've seen how Porto has played, and the way that Chelsea looked today against West Brom, it did not look pretty. So I'm going to start with Diego here. Diego, give me your thoughts on this one.
Man. Actually, I think this is going to be a difficult one for Chelsea here, because they actually are struggling midfield wise, considering that N'Golo Kante just picked up an injury too, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, because he's missed. I think he's not playing right now in the West Brom game, and I don't think he's going to be playing in the Champions League. So,
who?
N'Golo Kante.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So that's one, because he's a big piece of their offensive things. I do see that Christian Pulisic is picking up his game. I mean, he scored today. He was phenomenal for Team USA and whatnot. But I think coming into Porto's house and kind of facing a Philippe Coutinho kind of moment, I think, if anything, this is actually a draw. And I'm going to say a 1-1 draw.
So don't forget, they're not playing at Porto. They're playing at Sevilla Stadium.
Yeah. Yep.
So 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I think that would be fair to say, because Porto has been the underdog all along. They've proven it that they can fight against anybody. I mean, I gotta give them credit where it's due. So 1-1 draw.
I'm gonna give them the credit, but I don't think they score a goal against Chelsea personally. I think Chelsea's gonna win this game 1-0. Whether it's Olivier Giroud or whoever up front sneaking one by, I think Chelsea's too talented to not score at least a goal in this game and win. So I'm taking Chelsea 1-0.
They are super talented, but right now they're also losing 4-2 against West Bromwich. So not sure what that has to.
They just lost 5-2. So
it'll
carry over.
Sorry,
it'll carry over.
So the wound is a little deeper, huh?
Yeah,
I
it's fine.
was I was personally torn between 1-0 Chelsea and 2-1 Chelsea. I'm gonna go 2-1 Chelsea because Porto showed that they could. Sorry, there's a phone ringing in the background, but Porto showed that they could score goals against high-profile opposition against Juventus. Chelsea today are showing that they're not. They've been very good defensively, but they're clearly not indestructible if you're going to give up 5 goals to West Brom. So I think at home, Porto will grab a goal, but Chelsea, I think, will come out on top. Although I do think, like you said, Diego, Porto have shown that they're able to punch above their weight class this Champions League campaign, and I think they'll keep it very close.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. But also, too, we can't forget the fact that they literally shut out a very talented Atletico Madrid team in 2 legs. So
Yeah.
that's why I went with the 1-0 score, personally.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into
reason.
the last one. Bayern and PSG.
Oof.
This one's going to be fun. But at the same time, it's going to miss a key factor for Bayern Munich, and that's Robert Lewandowski that's out for both legs, which is, I think, a huge loss for Bayern Munich. But is Bayern that talented that they don't need Lewandowski? We'll find out. But for the first stage, I'm going 1-1 draw.
Okay.
Andrew.
1-0 Bayern, I think. I know Bayern are so good. Lewandowski is obviously a big miss, but for whatever reason, I think PSG have a real shot of pulling off the upset over these 2 legs, especially after the final last year. I think those players that were there and are still on the team were really not happy with how that final played out because Bayern were just so overwhelming in that game that PSG didn't really get to do what they wanted to do, I think, which it's one thing to go out there and give it your best shot and lose, but it's another for your opposition to basically take away your game plan and not let you do what you do best. So I think they're going to be super motivated. They do have a couple injuries and absences themselves, like Marco Verratti, I think will be a miss for them, but I think they'll keep it close in this first leg and then potentially turn things around in the second leg.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say there is a few factors going on here. Number one, as Andrew just mentioned, Marco Verratti's got to be missing the game due to testing positive for COVID-19. We're wishing him the best, of course, not something to treat lightly. The secondary part is PSG last year traded Choupo-Moting to Bayern Munich. Guess what? That's Bayern Munich's available weapon right now to face PSG. So that's the third part of that is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Neymar is also coming back while Robert Lewandowski is out. So there is a lot of factors brewing up here. I personally believe that Bayern Munich could be the same exact thing as Borussia Dortmund. They're a complete different team without Erling Haaland. This could be a complete different team for Bayern Munich without Robert Lewandowski because Lewandowski provides so many opportunities, not only midfield-wise, but also offensively-wise. And we just know his talent. I think the lineup will be essential to have somebody like Thomas Müller in there. Of course, we'll need to see how Kingsley Coleman performs. We'll have to see how Leroy Sané performs. I'm actually just going to go here with a 2-1 victory for PSG because of the Neymar factor. And also, Kylian Mbappe has been just sensational as of the past month or so. So I'm going 2-1, unfortunately.
I wouldn't say unfortunately. I mean, it's just how you feel.
I'm a Bayern Munich fan, so in that aspect for the German league, like it hurts for me to say that.
Happens. All right. That'll do it for the Champions League this week. Why don't we touch upon the Europa League? Because they start Thursday.
So how do we want to treat this one? Do we want to say, well, I think this is round 1, right?
Yeah. They're all first
leg.
legs.
Okay. All right. So let's just do the same format that we just did for Champions League then.
Agreed. All right. Let's start with let's start with Dynamo Zagreb and Villarreal. Dynamo Zagreb literally came from behind and beat Tottenham, knocked them out of the Europa League, which we thought was the Jose Mourinho curtain call. because we don't think he's going to be with Tottenham much longer.
No.
But Villarreal's a tough team, and this game just, to me, I'm sitting here and I'm like, all right, what the fuck side do I want to go to? Excuse my French. You know, I don't want to pick.
We'll leave it up to Andrew.
Yeah, we'll let Andrew go first. That way I can get some other insight. Go ahead, Andrew.
I'm gonna pick Villarreal in this game. I'm gonna go 2-1. I'm just looking at scores right now. They are currently beating Granada 3-0, which is very impressive to me because my understanding of Granada is that they're a very tough, pesky defensive team. So that's Villarreal showing me something ahead of this matchup. I know they're on the road, but yeah, I'm picking Villarreal 2-1.
Andrew's got confidence. I do too. Villarreal 2-0. Let's go.
I can smell the fart in that one. You know what? I'm gonna go a different route. I'm gonna go with the 2-1 score, of course, for Villarreal, but I don't think we can discount Dynamo Zagreb that fast. Their goalie, very young guy, and set to be probably the starting goalie for no other team than Croatia, which we all know who's in the Croatian team: Luka Modric, Ivan Perisic, and a bunch of others. This guy, 26 years old, set with a lot of talent ahead of him. He was an essential part against that Tottenham shutout. I mean, Tottenham had plenty of options, but this dude was just shutting them down left and right. So I'm gonna go with the 2-1 Villarreal Zagreb.
You know what the funny thing is? He goes, I want to go in a different direction. He goes the same exact score that Andrew picked.
Well, because nobody gave credit to the goalie. That's why I'm going the different direction.
This guy.
All
right, let's do Arsenal and Slavia Praha.
Oh, this is a bloodbath.
It is.
This is such a bloodbath, and I love it.
I'm going first. Arsenal's at home. I think Arsenal wins 2-1.
What was it that a wise person just said earlier? This guy. It's
a different game. Show your mouth. Martin Odegaard, dude. Difference maker. Arsenal 2, Slavia Praha 1.
Mm-hmm.
Diego, go.
I'm actually going to go 3-1 Arsenal. I think Arsenal is clicking very well. As you just mentioned, Martin Odegaard has been just a phenomenal addition to them and has provided that energy boost to them. I think Aubameyang does really well against the unexpected factor, and this is where I can see him being a contribution.
Well, I hope they're not clicking on all cylinders today because they're playing Liverpool. But yeah.
I'm going 3-0 Arsenal.
Whoa, Andrew! Stop the match.
Slavia Praha have been on a pretty impressive run, but yeah, I don't think they've, outside of Leicester City when they beat them 2-0, they haven't really played any teams that are on a similar level to Arsenal. So I think Arsenal's attack will be too much for them. All
right, so we all know Andrew's Twitter status next week. If it goes past 3-0, it's gotta be stop the count. Stop the count.
Stop the count. All right, let's go to Ajax and Roma.
Ajax, all right.
We'll save Manchester United last for Diego. Ajax and Roma. I think this is gonna be a tough. This is probably gonna be the best matchup that we have in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. Mm-hmm. I think Ajax. Diego's been saying it. They're just a team. They just every year they still have talent. They lose it and then they get their system talent up and they just dominate. Yeah. So personally, I like Roma, but I'm going with a 1-1 draw here. I think it's going to be a draw heading into like 2.
Okay.
Andrew.
Okay. All right. Wow.
Let's see. I like Ajax a lot. I feel like I pick them every time they're in a European game that we're picking. But just overall, I really like how they run their club and produce talent and seem like you pointed out, to always have that replacement ready to go. I like how they incorporate young players in their team always. I'm gonna say 2-1 in this game to Ajax.
All right. Mr. Galvis.
I like Ajax as well, very much. I've said it all along. They always have the talent to be able to step up and provide. There is a big issue here, though. Daley Blind has been an essential part of their lineup for a while now. He just picked up an injury against Gibraltar, I believe, was I'm even surprised I remember the country that he got an injury with. But he's likely set to miss the rest of the season here. That is a big knockout blow to Ajax here. Granted, they got Nicolas Tagliafico in the back, so he can provide a little bit of depth. But I think where Roma has so many good things going in the midfield, I think actually Roma could win here 2-1.
All right, last game. Granada, Manchester United. We'll start off with the Everton or Magic boy. Andrew?
I think Man United will win this one. I'm going to say by a 3-1 scoreline. I know Diego might have some concerns from inside as a Man United fan, but from a sort of outside perspective, I feel like they should be considered one of the favorites to win the Europa League this year. And I think they will take care of business against Granada.
So I have a 2-1 score here.
But he's got to go for Granada.
I'm going to go for Manchester United. I think Granada's going to play them tough both legs, but United's going to get that one goal that, whether it's a beautiful strike or like a little chip in over the goalie, that's going to put them over the top. I think United wins 2-1 here.
Okay. I actually see this match being very similar to kind of like Olympiacos versus Arsenal, where it was just physical and down the middle, but neither team did a lot of damage to one another unless somebody gets a red card. I see United winning this one 1-0, but I don't see it going any further than that. I think Granada exposes much more of a threat than Real Sociedad did when we faced them earlier in the season. Their physicality and their talent up front is much more of a concern to me than what Real Sociedad and David Silva was to me earlier in the season. So 1-0.
All right. That does it for Champions League and Europa League.
All right.
What other topics do we have to discuss this week?
All right, so we talked about the Champions League. We talked about the Europa League. We just gave our predictions. We also have some major breaking news that happened earlier this week, and we need to touch upon them now, considering that we are towards the tail end of the English Premier League, and there's a lot of commotion going around everywhere around the world with this player because he's just so effective. It is no other than Manchester City's own or ex-own at this point, Sergio Aguero. Sergio Aguero announces his departure of Manchester City as of Monday earlier this week. Incredible announcement, but I think a lot of people were starting to see coming, especially the more passionate diehard Manchester City fans. Just given the background of the club and what they do with people around his age. The factor is that Sergio Aguero happens to be one of the very last ones of the premier lineup that was there when they defeated Queen Park Rangers. That was a lineup that had David Silva, that had Vincent Kompany. I mean, so many great names, such great power ahead and whatnot. So it's unfortunate to see Sergio Aguero leave, but there's been some speculations The guy's still got a lot of talent to go. I think the injury that he picked up this year that has kind of really put him out in the sidelines has kind of taken a toll on him where he just wants to get a fresh start, do his own thing somewhere else. So we pulled out a poll earlier this week in which the Yellow Card Podcast Twitter page, if you're not following, it's a podcast card. But our poll consisted of the following. With Sergio Aguero's announcement that he will be leaving Manchester City, where does he go next? And the options provided were Spain, he goes to Barcelona. France, he goes to PSG. Italy, he joins Juventus. Or USA, he could very well come into the MLS. So I want to ask you guys this because the poll actually, surprisingly, kind of triggers a curiosity factor in me a little bit, but I want to get your thoughts. So 46% of the poll said Barcelona, 23% says PSG, 23% says MLS as well, and only 8% gives it to Juventus. I'm going to start with Andrew here, and I'm going to go over to Chris before I say anything else. Andrew, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, so I think at this point in time, I would say it's pretty wide open. Like he could go to a number of destinations at this point. The one that I personally have seen the most buzz about is Barcelona. I've seen people like Fabrizio Romano just 3 days ago said that Barcelona have begun talks with Aguero. So we at least know for sure that they are interested and there's some sort of dialogue taking place. We've talked about this off air, but the one thing with that is if you're Sergio Aguero, you're 32 years old, you still have some mileage in your legs, but at the same time you're nearing the end. Would you want to go to a Barcelona team if Leo Messi is headed out the door and going the other way? I personally am not so sure that I would if I was him. I think the draw of, as an Argentinian player, obviously going and teaming up with Messi, that would appeal to me if I'm Aguero. I think that would be a nice fit for the player, the club, and the players who are already there, like Messi. So yeah, where it becomes a question in my mind is if Messi leaves or not. And obviously we have no idea at this point in time. There's been a lot of speculation about that happening, but nothing official or conclusive at this point, I think, unless I missed something. So at this point in time, I would say that Barcelona, in my opinion, is the destination that makes the most sense, but I think that could change significantly depending on what other clubs do and how the transfer window starts. But like you said, I mean, it's kind of sneaky been a period of big turnover for Manchester City over the past couple of seasons. Like I think the past 3 years, David Silva left, then Vincent Kompany left, then Sergio Aguero left, won a season. And that's 3 legitimate club legends who basically turned around where the club was and elevated them to perennial Premier League title contenders. So it's kind of a new, I wouldn't say a new direction, but it's a little bit of a new era in terms of who they have at the club and with those players who were so clearly part of that, like that 2012 to 2014 stretch are no longer there. So interesting changes for Man City and potentially for Barcelona as well.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Great insight there. Over to you, Chris. What are your thoughts?
I mean, when I was looking at the odds for where he would go next, and geez, I just tongue twister. And one of the ones that really stood out to me, I think, honestly, was PSG. And personally, I just don't think Messi stays in Barcelona, so I don't think Aguero's going there. If Messi stays, obviously, I'll ride Barcelona for Aguero like to the grave. But if Messi's not staying there, I don't see it happening. So you're looking around, you're like, all right, what other places could he go to that would fit? And quite honestly, PSG, if Angel Di Maria is still there, they have that connection. So I could see that happening. And plus, with the rumors of Kylian Mbappe on the move, you got to think PSG is going to potentially get a striker this summer. So that's the striker I see them getting. I see Sergio Aguero ending up at PSG.
All right. All right. So for me personally, I'm going to go in a different route. And I don't think it's either Barcelona or PSG. I think there is two potential landing spots for somebody his age that's still got a lot of talent to go, but not too much to go in the tank. One club that has been intriguing as of late and that has been adding pieces on there to boost their offensive game a little bit has been no other than Turkish side Galatasaray. They did it about 2 years ago when signing Falcao towards the end of his career. They continue to do it with other players, and I think that would be a beginning where Sergio Aguero could be a big contributor to his more of the younger side. And I think at this stage of his career, he's looking to do that. The other thing that I could think of is he could potentially sign a small contract with somebody like a Bayern Munich. The reason I say that is with Robert Lewandowski being there and Eric Choupo-Moting being somewhat of a replacement, but not much of a replacement, I could see Bayern Munich changing their game more into a 4-4-2 formation where they could have a star-studded lineup in the front with Robert Lewandowski and Sergio Aguero to provide that offensive attack. Last but not least, though, and the most intriguing one to me when I was doing a lot of reading earlier this week, I know, surprising that I read, is no other than the MLS. I hate to think that somebody who is 32 years old could finish their career this soon here in the MLS. But by the same token, I don't think that because we just saw it with Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He came for a quick stint in the MLS and went back to Europe, went back to Italy. I could see the same exact thing happening for Sergio Aguero here. He could go and contribute to a team that desperately needs his help. I could see him being the same exact thing as David Villa when he went to New York City. I think that would be a phenomenal landing spot for him. But I also think that up-and-coming Austin Football City would be a phenomenal landing spot for him. And the reason I say that is because Claudio Reyna still has a designated player chip to play. And we all know how Claudio Reyna is. I mean, he's developed Gio Reyna to be the star that he is now in Borussia Dortmund. You could use a veteran in your team like Kun Aguero to inspire the next generation up and coming. Somebody like our ex-Revolution guy, Diego Facundes, could really rely on somebody like him. I think also placing Aguero atop the team that kind of already has somewhat of an assembly line going would just put Austin into that much of a closer competition move rather than anything else. And especially now where Austin has built their stadium in the center of the city so that they actually have a following going. And that is where Sergio Aguero could be a big attributing factor to a team that's looking to develop their legacy in the MLS. So those are my three landing spots for Sergio Aguero. I hate to think that, like I said, that at the age of 32, people would consider your career to be over when you still got so much in the tank to go and you look that great physically. But it is soccer. It is a demanding sport. It is a lot to go through. Injuries can come and go at any point. So just wishing Sergio Aguero a great offseason and hoping for him to land at a spot where he can really take his career to the next step and finish it up in a great note because even as a United fan, I think the guy is just a massive legend for that club. And it's unfortunate to see him go, but I think the farewell that they're going to do for him is going to be extremely emotional just because we all know what he did back in 2012. He stole the cup that literally from Manchester United within seconds. Manchester United was celebrating, thinking they won the cup. 30 seconds later, Sergio Aguero just boom, put the needle in the haystack. So with that said, boys, I think that does it. I think that does it for episode 31. I think that does
Yeah.
it because I'm excited to see what happens in the Champions League and the Europa League coming up this week. So, with that said, Champions League, Europa League, Sergio Aguero, that does it for episode 31. Signing off from this episode, Andrew Fasciano, Chris Jones, Diego Galvis. Andrew, where can they find you on Twitter to follow you?
You can find me on Twitter at AFASC573.
All right. Jones, where can they find you? And where can they find the sponsorship from Budweiser that you keep on promoting?
I wish you get sponsored by Budweiser. Find me on Twitter at cjones JONESWHO1212.
And also on Chasers.
Oh yeah, also on the Chasers at the Chasers 617. Yeah, I don't know. We're getting free plugs. Sean.
Of course.
Where can they find you, Diego?
So you can find the mysterious Diego at Diego_ the DJ on Twitter, and also at Podcast Card, which you can also follow this podcast on Twitter as well, at Podcast Card on Twitter. Find us on the YouTube channel from Couch Guy Sports. We're on there from now on. You can also find us on Spotify, find us on SoundCloud. Just Google Yellow Card Podcast and you'll find us immediately. Thank you so much for listening to episode 31. Until next week, see you guys.